Once upon a time, in the land of Grammarville, lived a wonderful teacher named Professor Poppy. She loved prepositions more than anyone. Today, she's hosting a preposition parade to teach everyone how much fun they can be. Hello everyone, let's start with in. Professor Poppy announces, pointing her twinkling stick towards a giant box. Things go in the box. A fluffy bunny hops in the box. See, the bunny is in the box, she explains. Giggling, now let's see it. Professor Poppy points her stick at a tall clock tower. We meet at 3 o'clock, she says. It tells us a specific time. Now let's learn about on, Professor Poppy exclaims. She places a book on a table. The book is on the table. A little bird lands on the book. The bird is also on the book. Professor Poppy cheers. Now for 2! Professor Poppy skips towards a sign pointing to the library. We are going to the library. Everyone follows Professor Poppy to the library, excited to read more about prepositions. Now let's learn for, Professor Poppy says inside the library. This book is for you. Professor Poppy gives each child a book for their very own. They are so happy! Let's try from. Professor Poppy points from the library window to a bakery. The yummy smells come from there. The children sniff the air. The smells from the bakery are wonderful. They giggle. Now, under! Professor Poppy crawls under a table. I am under the table. A playful kitten follows Professor Poppy under the table. They are both under the table. Let's talk about beside. Professor Poppy sits beside a big, comfy chair. The kitten curls up beside Professor Poppy, purring softly. They are beside each other. Let's not forget between. Professor Poppy stands between 2 bookshelves. The children peek between the bookshelves to see Professor Poppy. Now, what about above? Professor Poppy points above her head. The light is above us. Everyone looks above to see the pretty light. It's so bright above, they say. And now around! Professor Poppy walks around the group in a circle. The children giggle as Professor Poppy goes around and around. Learning is fun. You are all preposition pros? Professor Poppy exclaims. Now let's have a party. They all cheer and dance, happy to have learned about prepositions with Professor Poppy. And so, everyone in Grammarville used prepositions perfectly, thanks to Professor Poppy's fun parade.
Once upon a time, in the land of Grammaria, lived Professor Ollie, a wise old owl. He loved teaching young learners about the magic of prepositions. Prepositions are words that show relationships. Professor Ollie hooted gently. They tell us where things are. The train goes through the tunnel, said Professor Ollie, pointing with his wing. It travels over the bridge, he explained, his eyes twinkling. And stops at the station, Professor Ollie added with a smile. Now, let's see things on the table. Professor Ollie hooted. He placed a book on the table. The book is on the table. And the pencil is beside the book, he chirped, placing it gently. The globe sits near the window, he explained with a nod. Now, let's think about things in the room, said Professor Ollie excitedly. The books are in the shelves, he said, pointing to the towering shelves. The ink is in the bottle, Professor Ollie explained, holding up a glass bottle. And the ideas are in our heads, he added with a wink. Let's not forget under and above, Professor Ollie exclaimed. The rug is under the table, he pointed out calmly. And the stars are above the clouds, Professor Ollie chirped. Now let's travel around the world, said Professor Ollie with a gleam in his eye. The birds fly around the tower, he explained gently. They move around and around, Professor Ali repeated with a smile. Remember, prepositions are all about location, Professor Ali reminded. So, where is the treasure on the map? Professor Ali asked playfully. It's under the big oak tree, he exclaimed, solving the puzzle. Understanding prepositions helps us describe the world around us, Professor Ali said. Keep exploring, keep learning, and remember the magic of prepositions, he chirped. And so, the adventure with prepositions came to a delightful end.
Alara had always noticed things others overlooked, not just objects, but the silent stories living in the everyday sentences people spoke. Fine, her mother would say. But Alara could hear the exhaustion humming beneath the surface. Each word held its own little world. Even casual greetings like "How are you?" echoed with untold stories, if you knew how to listen. One day, she heard a sentence that felt different, a question hanging in the air at the local bookstore. "Can you find it?" the note read. The sentence pulsed with a hidden urgency, drawing Alara in. Intrigued, she started asking around, listening to every conversation, searching for the missing tale. She overheard snippets: a lover's quarrel, a lost dog, a dream left unchased. None of them felt quite right, but she knew she was getting closer. The whispers were growing louder. One rainy afternoon, while sheltering under a bookstore awning, she heard it, a sentence laced with unshed tears. "I don't know how to start again," a woman whispered into her phone nearby. Alara felt a jolt. That was it. The missing story had found her. She approached the woman cautiously, her heart pounding with a strange mix of fear and excitement. "Excuse me," Alara said softly. "I couldn't help but overhear." The woman, startled, looked up, her eyes red, rimmed and filled with a quiet sadness. Alara, without thinking, offered her a warm smile and a simple invitation. "Tell me your story." And so, under the shelter of the awning, the woman began to speak, her voice hesitant at first, then gaining strength. She spoke of dreams deferred, of love lost, of the fear of starting over in a world that felt too fast. Alara listened, truly listened, offering no judgment, only a quiet understanding. As the woman spoke, the rain outside began to subside, a faint ray of sunlight breaking through the clouds. When she finished, a sense of lightness filled the air, as if the story had been a heavy burden lifted from her shoulders. "Thank you," the woman said, her voice now clear and strong. I think I can start again." Alara smiled, knowing she had found the missing story, and in doing so, helped write a new beginning. As the woman walked away, Alara realized that every sentence, every word, held the potential to change a life. From that day on, Alara continued to listen, not just to the words, but to the whispers between the lines. For she knew that within those whispers lay the untold stories waiting to be discovered, waiting to be heard.
Aisha lived in a small village where the houses were gray and the streets were quiet. The people, though kind, seemed to have forgotten how to smile and laugh. Aisha felt in her heart that she could bring color and joy back to her home. One sunny morning, Aisha decided to take action. She gathered her paints, brushes, and a big bucket of bright colors, and she set out to paint the world with kindness. She started with the walls of her own house, painting them with flowers, birds, and smiling suns. The colors were so bright that people stopped to stare in amazement. Aisha noticed an old woman sitting on a bench looking sad, so she painted a beautiful garden around her, filled with roses, lilies, and butterflies. The old woman's eyes widened, and a gentle smile spread across her face. She hadn't seen such beauty in years. Aisha's kindness was already making a difference. Next, she painted the school walls with images of children learning and playing together. The children were excited to see their school transformed into a colorful place. She painted the baker's shop with delicious cakes and bread. The baker's mouth watered as he looked at the paintings, and he felt inspired to bake even better treats. Aisha painted the town square with scenes of laughter, music, and dance. Soon, people started to gather and celebrate, just like in the paintings. Even the grumpiest man in the village, Mr. Grumbles, couldn't help but smile when Aisha painted a funny cat wearing a hat on his doorstep. Word of Aisha's kindness spread beyond her village. People from neighboring towns came to see the colorful transformation. They marveled at the beautiful paintings and the joyful atmosphere. They realized that a little bit of kindness could change the world. Inspired by Aisha, others began to paint their own towns, adding colors and symbols of hope to their communities. Soon the entire region was filled with color and joy. The world was becoming a brighter, kinder place, all thanks to Aisha's simple act of painting. Aisha taught everyone that even the smallest act of kindness can make a big difference. She showed them the power of art to bring joy and unity. One day, a famous artist visited Aisha's village. He was amazed by the transformation and wanted to learn from her. Aisha shared her simple philosophy. Paint with your heart and let kindness be your guide. The artist was deeply moved. He realized that true art wasn't just about talent, but about making the world a better place. He joined Aisha in her mission. Together, they traveled from town to town, painting murals, organizing workshops, and inspiring others to use their talents for good. Aisha's message reached far and wide. People from all walks of life began to use their skills to spread kindness. Musicians wrote songs of hope, writers penned stories of compassion, and builders created homes for those in need. The world was transforming into a place where kindness was the norm, and everyone worked together to make it better. Aisha continued to paint, spreading her message of kindness wherever she went, leaving a trail of beauty and inspiration behind her. And so, the girl who painted the world with kindness taught everyone that even the smallest act of compassion can change the world forever. Remember, you too can paint the world with kindness, one act at a time. Be like Aisha, and let your heart guide your actions. The end. Thank you for reading.
Thank you for watching this video. I hope you learned something new today. Like Nikola Tesla and Albert Einstein, always stay curious and keep exploring. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a comment, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. See you next time, and happy learning!